It was exactly 3:06 a.m. when my front door exploded off the hinges. And I don't mean that metaphorically. A real explosion, a thunderous crash, a rain of splinters. And then 4 shadows in black tactical vests surged through the opening like demons from a war zone. HOA Enforcement. They screamed like they were on some kind of low-budget SWAT raid. But there were no badges, no sirens, no legal warrant, only rage and chaos. And that night, they made a fatal mistake. They picked the wrong house. Before we dive into the story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming up. My name is Jared Clean, a retired Army Ranger who traded foreign battlefields for the quiet rhythms of stay-at-home fatherhood. My 12-year-old son Logan and I live at the far end of a sleepy cul-de-sac by a lake in Minnesota, where peace used to mean something. My wife Sarah died 3 years ago, suddenly, without warning, from an aneurysm, leaving me with a son too smart for his age and a heart that hasn't fully healed. Logan's the kind of kid who reads military strategy books for fun, builds Lego tanks with working treads, and asks questions about flanking maneuvers over cereal. I've spent the last 3 years trying to give him a childhood worth remembering, something untouched by loss or fear. But that night stole something I'll never get back. It all started when our HOA turned strange. After the former president moved away, a woman named Karen Delaney wormed her way into power, not through a vote, but by claiming some ridiculous loophole in the bylaws. No one else cared enough to challenge her, so she declared herself acting president, and suddenly rules became weapons. First, she fined my neighbor $200 for leaving his trash bin out 42 minutes past pickup. Then another guy got slapped with a violation because his house was painted almond instead of eggshell. Still, I stayed quiet until she came after me. Said my truck, my old F250 that I parked neatly beside the driveway, was a military-style vehicle, and that it violated residential aesthetics. Then came the bogus fines, the fees, the threats. It totaled over $3,800. I told her, point blank, this was harassment. She just smiled, like she'd been waiting for that. I thought it was over. I thought maybe she'd move on. I had no idea how far she'd go. That night, the door came down like a battering ram. I went for the 9mm and the biometric safe beside my bed, but I was too slow. One of the intruders was already in the room, flashlight blinding my eyes, screaming about resisting HOA inspection. Another yanked the covers off me like I was a criminal. I blinked through the light and saw the vest black nylon block letters. Security enforcement, no badge, no department. No legal anything. Just a bunch of cowards in cosplay. I raised my hands. "You've got the wrong house," I said, trying to de-escalate. The man sneered. "Nope, right house. Non-compliant vehicle on record. We're authorized to inspect and impound." There was no inspection. There was no impound. Another one was already in the kitchen shouting, "Found cash," like a pirate. And then I heard a voice, shaky, confused, coming from the hallway. My son, Logan, standing there barefoot, eyes wide, hands trembling. One of the men turned on him and started yelling, and that's when everything changed. See, a few months ago, I started teaching Logan basic gun safety, not to use a weapon, but to respect it, to understand it, to know what to do if all hell ever broke loose. We practiced with a .22 Ruger pistol in a biometric box on the top shelf of his closet. I never thought he'd actually need it, but he remembered. While the man in the hallway turned away, Logan slipped quietly back into his room, opened the safe, and took the pistol. I didn't see him do it. I only heard the crack of a single shot, then silence, followed by a scream. One of the intruders fell to the floor, clutching his thigh, blood pooling around his cargo pants. And then Logan stepped into the hallway, both hands on the gun, steady as I'd ever seen him, and said in a voice that didn't belong to a child, "Drop your weapons, or I'll shoot again." Time froze. I didn't breathe. The man in my bedroom stiffened. The one in the kitchen yelled and bolted through the back door. Another fled after him. In less than 6 seconds, 3 of them were gun-screeching away in a black SUV with no plates, panic in their wake. Logan stood still, arms locked, eyes unblinking. He didn't lower the gun until I got up and gently took it from him. His hands were shaking, but his voice had been like steel. I pulled him into a hug, told him I was proud. That he did what he had to do. The last Geetha one on the floor was moaning in pain. I called 911, told them an armed intruder had broken in and my son acted in self-defense. The dispatcher paused when I said it. "Your son?" she repeated. "Yes," I said again. "My son." Then she answered slowly. "Officers are en route. Keep the weapons secured. Help is on the way." The police arrived 6 minutes later, real police with real badges and real training. They handcuffed the wounded man, read him his rights, and called for an ambulance. When I showed them the fake vest, the bogus HOA warrant of entry, and the plastic badge, one of the officers actually laughed out loud. "You're kidding?" he said. "They made their own warrant." Turns out, Karen Delaney had orchestrated the entire thing. She created a fake neighborhood security task force, ordered cheap tactical gear online, printed fake citations and entry forms, and registered a shell nonprofit to make it all seem real. Her boyfriend, the guy Logan shot, was a known felon with a history of impersonating law enforcement. He was on parole. She claimed it was a misunderstanding, that she thought they were doing a compliance check, but the police didn't buy it. She was arrested for conspiracy to commit home invasion, impersonating law enforcement, and child endangerment. The others were charged too. As for Logan, the district attorney reviewed everything and cleared him the next day, said it was the most clear-cut case of juvenile self-defense they'd ever seen. No charges, no juvenile record. But that doesn't mean we escaped unharmed. For weeks, Logan couldn't sleep. He'd check the locks 3 times a night, ask if we should move. One night, I heard him whispering in the dark. I thought I was going to die. That broke me. I sat beside him, held his hand, and said, "You don't have to be brave anymore. That's my job now." We got him into therapy. We installed cameras, reinforced the new front door with steel hinges and a triple bolt system. He's healing. Slowly, he doesn't talk about it much, but I see it in his drawings. He used to sketch tanks and helicopters. Now he draws our house with high walls, security lights, and big fences, but always with us inside, smiling. Sometimes people ask if I regret teaching him about guns, if I wish I'd just kept that box locked away forever. And my answer is simple. No, not for a second. Because that night, they didn't just break into our home, they broke into our lives. Our safety, our right to live in peace, and my son didn't run. He didn't freeze. He stood up to them. He protected me. And in doing so, he saved us both. So now I ask you, what would you do if someone pretending to be the law kicked in your door at 3 a.m., dragged your child from his bed, and waved a fake badge in your face? Would you fight? Would you freeze? Would your child know what to do? Drop a comment, tell your story. And if you've ever had to stand up to a corrupt HOA or someone hiding behind a fake title, let the world know. Because sometimes justice doesn't come with flashing lights. Sometimes it starts with a whisper, a brave heart, and one voice that finally says, "No more."